Hey everybody, so we are still in the validation world. Yeah, it's just brutal. I did make this. I'm sitting there looking at my shirt in my camera. It says "Don't panic." That's what I should have said. I should have said "Don't panic" and had like the panic like in the Star Wars tilt and all that. But see, this is really cool, right? Like the application is really cool. I have to constantly remind myself of that. But like today, this morning, when I was walking into work, I was like, man, I should have done this from the import from the very beginning. CSV import, then get the JSON import. Like the very first thing I should have done was import one CSV line from a file that breaks it down and creates a sphere or a cube or something, a rotating cube, something like that. And then made a JSON version and then did the UI and then sort of rotated that way. And that would have been a much better way to go at this route. And I think the main reason would have been because then I would have all these like cool little files that I could use and I would have persistence, right? Like I would, like right now when I get done with this, the minute I make any kind of change, I will lose this and I have to have to go read through the application again and do it. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. And who knows? I have in the this is video 267. There's 365 days in a year, so at 365, I'll strongly consider whether I want to continue on this. Hopefully, I will have hit all the sort of the proof of concept stuff, and then I'll decide whether I want to continue with this or whether I want to start from scratch. And who knows? Who knows what I'll do? Um, but anyways, so the validation has really opened my eyes because I basically had to write a lot of code around like making sure that I don't paint myself into a corner once the I want the validation to also extend to like imports from other things. I think a lot of times you don't do a lot of like if you're going to save it into a database into a traditional API and then have a database, you may not have that sort of validation in those sorts of things because you assume that it's already validated when it got there, that it didn't get anything. But if you're going to have a file that gets uploaded, you definitely need to add some sort of validation, and I need to be able to extend this validation into both. Um, so there's that. So now I have this validation scheme that is stretched out all the way across. And one of the things I had noted was I need to have a get token for path function in my UI validation that is literally merely just a pass through to call the get, probably the exact same name in the validation service, right? So I would get validation, get, do I have a get token for validation up here? Or get token for, so I have get validation text for token. So get validation text for token. I have a get validation type. Oh, and then this is what returns the token. So probably should rename this to get, because the type, okay, yeah. So let's say get, let's sort of, I hate the word token only because I've been like in a lot of historically, anytime I've heard the word token, I was sort of like, I didn't know what they were talking about. I got very, very confused. And then as working through this, suddenly now think I understand what a token is. And so I feel a lot better about it. So I'm going to say I'm going to change that to get token for path over here. And let's just see what breaks. Wrong one. In the validation service, instead of getting validation type, I'm going to change that to get token for a path. And then I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to watch this thing break. Apparently, I'm not using it anywhere because nothing broke. All right. So now that's going to call that. That's just going to send a path to the URL. So basically, in this validation service, I'm going to uncomment this. And I don't know why so many things. Let me collapse that down a little bit. Get token for path. Okay, so something, it's kind of weird. I don't know what. Okay, so let's fix this. I've got the blue, so we'll add that. Now I don't know. Turn. It's not. Is it upset because of that? No. Let's see, what was that? Get validator for token. Okay. Okay, so that's positive or none. Okay, so return none. And, okay, I'm just going to delete this whole thing. Oh, I have this in the wrong place. And that one. Sometimes things just don't work out. Sometimes it's just a struggle. All right, so now basically what it's going to do is it's going to pass the path, and then it's going to just return whatever this return. It gets comical when things start going wrong all the time. Get token from path from there. Oh my gosh. Path. There we go. So basically, I'm going to get my token. I'm going to give this thing a path. I'm going to get a token for it. And then I'm going to get the validator for the token. So let's just go ahead and write that code up. What time are we at? 7:25. Okay, looking good. You can do it. Okay, so validator types. So I'm going to call this token. It's of type validator types. Nope, it's validation types. Validation types. And then for the moment, and it's going to return whatever this thing returns back. So for the moment, I'm just going to hack it to return this .give. So that's just going to return that, and just for my own, well, I already have it here. I know that this is what it returns. This or a null. And that doesn't go there. That's a semicolon. Oh, and I got 2 colons. There we go. So now get validator for token returns basically right now it's at, and basically I only want to do that. Okay, so, and it's or a null, right? So I'm just going to say I don't know if this is the best way to equals positive float. So if it's a positive float, this is what we return. Otherwise, we return a null. And that, is that right? Yeah. Did I misspell? All right, now what? It's saying that or null. I said null. Okay, but validator. I'm gonna say this thing. I'm gonna say equals null. And for some reason, I put an extra. That validator. Do I need to put this in parens? Okay, I don't understand this thing's problem now. Now down here it lets me return null. Okay, oh, this returns a function. Okay, so this guy always returns that. Oh, and it returns a function that returns either a validation error or a null. Okay, so basically, okay, so that's funny. So what I need is this in parens, and I don't know if this is going to be super obvious to the watchers of this video, but or null. And then this is or null. And we assigned it to null, so this I'm going to return validator. I'm going to assign this to validator equals. And then I don't need to do this other thing because I already assigned it to a null. Now I'm going to return the validator. Okay, so basically at the component level, I will get the token. If the token is positive float, it will return this validator. Otherwise, it's just going to return a null. Let me see. So I'm not actually going to do it right now, but at the component level, wrong one. Here's where I get my validators. So basically, validators, validators is an empty array. So that's kind of cool because it's an array of stuff. So then I can just say if I get a validator back. So I'm going to get my token here. Yeah, get validation token for use token to get validator. So that still makes sense, but it probably goes right here. Instead, that sort of validates me. I feel validated after seeing that I put that old comment there. So basically, I'm going to get my token for that. Then I'm going to use my token to get my validator function. And then if it's not null, I'm going to push it into this array, and then I'm going to create my validation. And then I need to go through and I need to get my figure out some kind of scheme for getting this text, the linear text. Oh, not the linear, the exponential, for getting this text for the token. I have the token, so then I can get this text, which then that text goes into there. And I'm not too worried about this being a bit hacky, at least at this moment. I may change my mind when I go through this tomorrow, but I don't think it's a big deal to make this a bit like hard coded, because, like the implications aren't very, like I'm just going to mess it up in this one spot. It's not going to cascade into a bunch of different spots if I mess this up. But anyways, so that is for tomorrow, is to get this validation token for density, and then pump, push it in there, and then uh, watch it work. And then I think the last part will be to get this text from the all the way from the validation service, because we have the token, so we can just say, hey, what's my token for this text? And then that should be pretty straightforward. um, will need to run it through the layers of abstraction, um, and all that. So that, but it shouldn't be too bad. And then we can, I think that's it. I think we'll be at the end of this validation rabbit hole that we've been stuck in for, I don't know, 10, 12 videos now. And kind of we can move on to um, near and far, which I can use the exact same validation for. So should be very simple to set those up. Um, and well, it'll be simple. Yeah, it'll be simple. It should be fairly simple to make them uh, A, configurable, and then B, set up the validation for them. And then I think that's the end of scene, and we can move to animation. And for animation, well, I think I need to split the animation service, because right now, basically in Showtime, no, those are interfaces inside of the Showtime services. Um, all we have is the Showtime scene service, and then in 3 we have the scene. So we'll need to do something along these lines to try to sort of divide that stuff up for animation. And then I would like to also add a new animation type, and I don't know what kind of refactor that's going to be, all over the place. But I want to add like the ability to, let's just make this guy animated. I think animated needs to be the last thing. Like, I don't know, I think it's the red. Is it red? Yeah, like this is animation to make it like go there and back. So like right now we can only animate, we can see the scene and the values. I would like to add like a drop down or something. We don't have that much room for it, but a drop down or some way to mark it as a different kind of animation. Right now animations go from one extreme to the other. What I'd like it to go is like let's say this is the start red and that's the end red. That over the time period it goes to 225. And so like right now, if I pause it and I'm at 0 and then I go to 3, it maxes and then it goes back to 0 again. What I would like it to do is right here for it to max halfway through and then go back to 0. So more of a there and back. So how that would work in like a mesh would be like, let's say the mesh was animated from 0 to 3 or something. It would go like this and then back in that time. So just to add one more wrinkle to the way animation works. And I think that would be really cool. And then that's and then we're to mesh, and mesh, there's a lot of cool stuff we can do there. And then camera, there's a lot of cool stuff we can, oh well, I don't know if there's much cool stuff, but the doubling of the animation will be good. Show edit form, yeah, there's really not a whole lot. I think camera, we'll probably just split up the service and all of that. So anyways, there's a lot to do. There's a little under 100 more episodes of this before we make the big decision on whether we just start all over from scratch with a new approach, or if we just continue down this path working on this. I could definitely, I would say 2 weeks ago, I thought there was like a 95% chance that I would be just continuing on. But now, after this validation, yeah, I'm a little shook, and I would say it's more like 55% chance that I'll be moving on. But had I talked to you like 5 hours ago or 8 hours ago, I probably would have been like, there's a 90% chance that I'm burning this to the ground and starting a new one from scratch. So, anyways, happy coding. Bye.